Hello there, Mandy here. Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart is not just a podcast. It's also a book, a free online grief group, and a one-on-one private coaching practice. If you are interested in learning more, visit mandykapehart.com to find out how restorative grief can help you heal heart, mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 242, titled Why Your Enneagram Type Didn't Prepare You for This. What if all the insight you've ever gained about yourself couldn't protect you from grief? What if the books, the frameworks, and personality tools you lean on were just maps and not shelter? Well, today we're going to talk about the fact that that's true, how it happens, and what it takes to be present with our loss. We'll explore how grief moves through your mind, your heart, and your body, and why simply knowing yourself isn't enough. Here is an uncomfortable truth. Insight without capacity collapses under grief. You've studied your type, you've read all the Enneagram books, and you've watched the patterns unfold in yourself and in others, and yet you still fell apart, didn't you? There's a quiet exhaustion in knowing yourself so well and still feeling unmoored. I know that very well. Some call it Enneagram fatigue. We've often gotten there. Some call it disillusionment. It's the sense that all your insights, all your self-understanding still can't buffer the body from the weight of loss, heartbreak, or the rawness of human suffering. Personality systems, self-help books, and frameworks give us concepts, language, and patterns to notice. They help us make a little sense of what is confusing. They can give us footholds, a way to recognize what we're feeling, and sometimes permission to pause. But they are not our lived experience. They're not facts. They cannot prepare you for the way grief lives in your body or the way it refuses to fit into a pattern or a theory. The Enneagram is a brilliant framework at showing us how we cope, but not how much pain the body can hold. It maps our patterns, defenses, and specifically our motivations, and it teaches us strategies, awareness, and places for reflection. But real grief does not adhere to patterns. It exceeds cognitive frameworks and it resists interpretation. It does not care what your wing is, what your healthy path looks like, or how many exercises you have tucked into your toolkit. Grief is not primarily a puzzle to solve. It is asking you for your companionship, for pacing, for permission. With our restorative grief model, we emphasize being with our grief rather than self-mastery over it. It asks, can you sit in the presence of pain without needing it to fit into your type or a theory? Can someone simply be there with you while your nervous system trembles, while your heart mourns, while your body protests? We can notice grief through the lens of the Enneagram's triads, the broad ways that humans process the world. The intelligence center triad means the heart center leads towards feeling, connection, and longing. The head center triad leans towards thinking, analysis, and anticipation. And the gut triad leans towards action, instinct, and control. Grief lands differently in each of these ways of being and knowing, but it lands in all of them. And if you are unfamiliar with the triad and the Enneagram language that I'm using, simply know this. Every one of us has a main way of processing information and feeling, thinking, or knowing instinctually what we need to do or what is good, what is hard, and how we need to move through the world. All of us have access to all three centers of intelligence, but we do have a primary way that we rely on. Those head-centered tendencies, that would be the 5, 6s, and 7s of you, may analyze, worry, or try to make sense of what has happened. Even with deep insight, knowledge does not relieve the tension in your chest or the restlessness in your stomach. Grief is asking you to pause, to notice, and to simply be with uncertainty without trying to fix it. The 2s, 3s, and 4s with the heart-centered tendencies may feel grief as intense longing, isolation, or self-conscious emotions. We may notice patterns, even poetic framing, but insight alone does not provide warmth or witness. The ache remains raw and undeniable. And the gut-centered types, those 8s, 9s, and 1s, may experience grief as restlessness, a drive to act, or a need to control. You may identify your usual patterns of assertiveness or problem solving, but grief bypasses control. Even strength and actions cannot shield the body from sorrow. To move through grief, the body and the heart and the brain need more than insight. So here's a simple practice that can give it a path. First, pause and notice the emotion. Name it. Allow yourself to feel without immediately acting or analyzing. Grief may feel like a restless tension or a heaviness or a raw ache you cannot reason with. Second, see if you can locate the feeling in your body, the sensation itself. Notice where in your body you experience tension, discomfort, or where the contraction might be there. Some people feel it in their chest, their throat, others in their gut, in their jaw, or their shoulders. Giving your nervous system something tangible to look for and to work with grounds the experience in the moment. And third, as I mentioned, we're going to name that feeling specifically. Anger, is it sadness, fear, shame, longing? Naming it gives your brain and body a shared language and makes it less overwhelming. Once you've named the emotion, you're going to work on regulating the emotion. So notice whether or not this emotion leaves you feeling highly activated, moderately activated, or kind of shut down and in collapse. We're going to go back to all those tools we've gathered that fit with our nervous system: movement, breath, touch, grounding, or stillness. Regulation in the moment allows the body to metabolize what the mind alone cannot. Then ask what the feeling is pointing toward. Every emotion signals an unmet need. Are you needing safety, connection, rest, affirmation, or maybe space? Let the feeling gently guide you. And finally, when you're ready, don't just walk away from this experience. One of the most important parts of this process is debriefing with yourself, naming the facts of what happened, acknowledging your experience, and reminding yourself there is no failure in feeling. You are not broken for having emotions or feeling uncomfortable feelings. Walking away can open judgment when you reflect back. But debriefing with yourself in the moment allows you to normalize the fullness and intensity of the experience and to reinforce your ability to become curious about it for the sake of curiosity, not fixing. This practice is flexible. It can be applied whether you naturally lean toward thought, feeling, or action, as defined as primary intelligence centers in each of the Enneagram triads, which is great for those of you who don't know where you fall on the Enneagrams. But across all triads and with all people, this 6-step approach can help metabolize what your mind might resist and what your body cannot ignore. This is not about fixing grief. It is about allowing the body, heart, and nervous system to process in their own time. So here's the critical distinction. Self-awareness is not the same as nervous system regulation. Naming a pattern is not the same as integrating it. Insight is powerful, but without presence and attunement, it can feel hollow or even shaming. So those personality systems, the self-help books, and the different frameworks can give us ways to notice, reflect, and make some of the confusing a little more intelligible. Like I said, they give us the language, they give us footholds, and they give us ways to navigate, but they are not a substitute for being with ourselves. They cannot carry the weight alone. As I stated, the Enneagram is a map, not a shelter. Grief asks us a deeper question. Who is with you when the map stops working? Who can be present when insight alone cannot hold you? I'm going to share a little story here that is brief but vulnerable and explains how the Enneagram as a framework can lead us into and out of the grief that we're carrying in our own lives. I'm a type 8, which is the challenger. It's a very forward, body-centered, gut instinct, assertive type. And I'm going through something in my own life with boundaries and understanding who I am and how I show up in relationships. And it's been really hard, and it's been really painful to wonder why a pattern continues to show up when I have so much self-awareness and so much presence and good practices in place to support myself through loss. Because the Enneagram is a map, what it offered me as I was questioning these recurring patterns and these behaviors that I don't feel are aligned with me, I was able to recognize there is something in my Enneagram type that will offer me some wisdom. But right now, even as an Enneagram coach and teacher myself, I'm a little too close to it. I'm a little too in the dirt, in the mud, in the mess of grief to understand and work through my own stuff. I'm going to reach out to another friend who understands and moves in this methodology and has compassion and has the ability to help me name what those insights are and how to integrate them, how to become very present with the insight that I've gained and attuned to who I am and what I need without shame and without letting it just be more information that I've collected and not put into practice. See, grief isn't about fixing yourself. It's about being seen, pacing yourself, and allowing the body and the heart to process in their own time. Insight can guide us, but it cannot carry our weight. And when our patterns fail, when coping strategies fall short, remember, you don't have to navigate this alone. Insight without companionship collapses. Grief asks for a witness, for tenderness, for simply being with. Thank you for listening to episode 242 of Restorative Grief. This is no small task to learn and unlearn so much while you are grieving. But that's the point. There is so much to learn and to unlearn that at no point should we assume we are done. Grief is not our villain, nor is it an unexpected part of life, and we owe it to ourselves to honor this piece of our humanity as well as every other piece so that as we navigate, our narratives are aligned and as authentic as we ever hoped to become. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, I'm so grateful you're here. Please hit subscribe and leave a review so others can find this work and feel supported and challenged in their own grief. If you want to go a little deeper, you can become a patron for the show for as little as $2 a month, gaining access to the workbook that accompanies every episode, along with bonus monthly podcast episodes and mini lessons. Thank you as always to my past and present patrons. This work continues because of your support. And as always, before we go, one last thing. Please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.